Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Teresa. I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare, so on the weekend I like to hang out with you guys and talk about all of the newest releases in that category. Well, it's not quite all of them, it's a streamlined list of the stuff that is worth talking about, even if it is just briefly. But in order to streamline that, you guys are instrumental in that. You tag me, you DM me, you email me, and I so appreciate it. Everyone who has helped in that process, I am showing your names right now. I truly, truly appreciate it. As per usual, a big thank you and a massive shout out of appreciation to my YouTube community members. You're a fabulous bunch. And I had so much fun with you guys last weekend, just hanging out. I mean, it's meant to be like an hour live, because that's like the minimum, and we went well over. We were 2 hours just chatting away, and I loved it. Thank you so much for joining me. But my friends, this week, I don't know what's happened, but there's been a lot to talk about. So, libations, incredibly important. We don't want anyone getting dehydrated. It's a dangerous time of year for that. So my mug du jour, you can't tell me that is not adorable. Look, it's like a little tankard and there's little rabbits on it. When in doubt, go to Tesco for your mugs because they are spectacular. But let's get straight on into the news. And we're starting off first with not so much like new makeup, but just general makeup news. This is Jouer, and they've posted over on Instagram an update on their prices. And a massive thank you to Makeup On Your Radar for this. They sent it on to me. They said that their mission has always been to create luxurious, high performance makeup and skincare that you can feel good about using. But basically they're like, hey, our costs, they're increasing due to production, global shipping and tariffs. There's a theme in our latest orators these days. But yeah, basically they're like, we're gonna have to adjust some prices. But I believe there's been some bite back on the old tariffs as far as I know. So we may be getting some more updates on that soon, because the government in the US is basically like, no, we don't want to do this. We don't want to be putting tariffs on people because, weirdly enough, not a great foreign policy. So I guess we'll see what the story is there. This next bit of news kind of shocked me. This was over on Cosmetics Business, but Trend Mood also talked about it. Rhode, which is by Hailey Bieber, has actually been sold to e.l.f. for $1 billion. One with like quite a few zeros behind it. Like the amount of money that none of us can really entirely fathom. Now, I'll say that I was kind of surprised by that. I feel like it's a little bit of an over-evaluation, particularly when you consider the fact that Rhode isn't actually sold in a lot of e-commerce stores. It's primarily through their own website. However, they have basically stated that Bieber, so Hailey Bieber, is actually going to maintain her title as founder and is also going to serve in the newly created role of Chief Creative Officer and Head of Innovation at Rhode. And she's been appointed as a strategic advisor to both Rhode and e.l.f. Beauty. So I feel like that $1 billion isn't just for the brand, but it's also for Hailey Bieber, because she's really good at social media. Whatever you may think about her, she is very good at that. And I've heard some people say some good things about Rhode Beauty. I haven't tried it, but there you go. So I do think this is probably a good thing for the brand. It'll be more commercially available for those of us who do want to try it. So I thought that was quite interesting. But let's hop into the newness. Lethal Cosmetics have revealed their collaboration with Adventure Time, and there's quite a few pieces in this. There's of course the Candy Kingdom palette for €54. There's some blushes in the shades Flame Princess, Lumpy Space, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline. They're €15 each. Lady Rainicorn highlighter for €21. There's liquid eyeliners in the shades Gunter and Ice King. They're €14 each. There's lip balms in the shades Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. They're €14 each. There's lip glosses in Jake the Dog and Finn the Human for €16 each. Then we're getting down to the more kind of accessories things. We have Peppermint Butler Lip Mask for €14, Tree Trunks Lip Scrub for €14, Finn the Human Headband for €12, BMO Pocket Mirror for €12, and Jake the Makeup Bag for €25. But it does look like there's a lot of detail in that makeup bag. Like even the inside has like this specific print and the zippers are really cute. Yeah, there's lots of different bundles, but obviously the biggest bundle is where you have everything, which is called the Everything Burrito Bundle for €270. But there's lots of different bundles of blushes, etc. But frankly, I don't want to talk about the different bundles. Let's just talk about the different bits in this. Obviously, the big ticket item is normally the eyeshadow palette. That's retailing for €54. I don't really know anything about Adventure Time. That's right, I'm absolutely useless. Is it just me, or does this remind anyone of like sort of a Trixie Cosmetics thing, or a little bit kimchi-ish? And that's not as a bad thing. I think their colour stories are quite fun. And this is quite different to Lethal Cosmetics. There's nothing about this that makes makes me go, yes, that's lethal. That is their stamp. Honestly, like this could be from any brand, which does just show that they have really thought about the IP. Like the IP is at the front and center of this. As I said, I've never seen Adventure Time, so I can't really speak as to how true this is to the IP, but my experience with Lethal Cosmetics, anytime that they take on anything like this, they normally execute it really, really well. The shades in and of themselves, they look pretty good. They have some deep shades in there, like there's that navy blue and there's like quite a dark pink and a red, but it's primarily mid-tone. There isn't that many light shades, and for a palette that's that big, I'm kind of a little bit surprised by that. It's a little bit strange, but the price tag isn't too bad considering you're getting quite a few shades, and it's Lethal's formula, which is pretty good for €54. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I'm not going to go off and get it, but I don't think it's a bad one. The blushes are quite interesting. I do feel like two of them are a little bit too similar to each other. Do you know which ones I'm talking about? Weirdly, I'd have thought that there would have been more distinction between the pink and the purple, but it seems like they're leaning pretty similarly on each other, and they've built up those swatches on the arm. I feel like once they'd be kind of blended out on the cheek, you really wouldn't see the distinction that much. I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe they only needed the 3 in that instance, and maybe they could have done away with that bubblegum pink and could have gone with kind of the slightly more purple, which isn't as purple as it should be, quite frankly. But it's not a bad one. Like, I don't love it, I don't hate it, it's somewhere in between. The highlighter is just giving me 2018 flashbacks. I feel like every brand at one point had this, you know, that highlighter that had several different shades in it, and it was very Pride-esque, which, you know, nothing wrong with that. The way that they've shown this is according to the stripes, which I'm like, okay, cool, but how are we gonna get, and this is the same thing that happened back in the day when these highlighters came out first, how are we gonna get our brush in there, you know, to get that exact shade of a highlight? Realistically, you're gonna have to show it us swirled, you know. It's just a strange little depiction. Now, many brands have done this before, so I don't know, it's just a little bit confusing. The eyeliners are grand. There's that staple of the old black eyeliner, nothing wrong with that. I'm a little bit more interested in that Ice King one because there's a little bit of like a multi-chrome flakiness thing there. I don't feel like they've showed it off that well over on the website, which is why I haven't shown like any pictures of that, but I think that's a little bit more interesting, you know. It's not a bad one. The lip balms, I mean, when did we get more into lip balms than we got into lipsticks? I'm clearly not part of that because I couldn't care less about lip balms. I'm like, it's fine. And like on the arms, again, there's tonally not that much of a difference. It's just a difference in terms of depth, which I think is just a bit of a failed opportunity in my opinion. Packaging is super cute, you know, the attention to detail, really nice there, but it isn't for me. The glosses, again, they're grand. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly what's going on like with those swatches. Are they on top of the lip balms or are they independent? Because if so, I can't figure out which one is which. Navigating the website made it very difficult to understand what one was what. They weren't actually labeling things as of me filming, which is a Thursday. So maybe they have sense, but I can't be bothered to go back and find more pictures because quite frankly, I'm a busy person and I have too much on my plate. They're okay, they're fine, but I don't get that excited about lip glosses. Then we've some more like lip bits and pieces there. There's like a lip mask and what, like a lip scrub. Again, in the nicest way possible. I don't care. This is one of those like, oh, if you get free shipping if you spend X amount, that's the sort of item that you go, fuck it, I'll put a lip mask in, can't go too far wrong on that, which is fine. I kind of feel like they didn't necessarily need that, but I mean, that's just me. And then those final little bits and pieces are the headband. Again, I don't watch Adventure Time, so I don't really know what the story is there, but I'm assuming it's related to the IP. I am just comparing this in my mind with the SHEGLAM one because that's the one that I can think of, and I feel like they're relatively comparable. Like they're not that different in terms of the way that they've captured things. So obviously there's quite a bit of input from the IP here, which is good in and of itself. The mirror, I mean, it's grand, you know, not much to say there. I don't care. But like I said, it's not my kind of IP. And then the makeup bag, it's fine. It's expensive for what it is. I mean, €25. Am I going to spend €25 on a makeup bag? Probably not. But you know, I'm a bit of a tight bitch. So all in all, with the entire collection, I just feel like there's a lot going on. We're talking about a palette. We're talking about liquid eyeliners, blushes, a highlight, lip balms, lip glosses, and accessories. And I feel like I've forgotten many things along the way. Like that's a lot. That's that's a lot. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not my kind of IP. There's nothing about this that necessarily calls to me, which is fine. Like, it'd be crazy if every single release called to me. But I'd love to know, for those of you who do watch Adventure Time, do you feel like this has captured things well? Are you going to pick it up? What do you guys think? It feels like they've tried to kind of keep the prices down as much as they possibly can. Because when you think of a general lethal eyeshadow palette, that's normally quite expensive. And then you add on an IP. The fact that they've kept it down to €54, which even me saying down to €54 is odd in and of itself. But like, if you had said to me, oh, there's this however many pan palette by Lethal Cosmetics and it's €90, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of in line with their general prices. Yeah, that makes sense. So I feel like they have done as best as they can to keep the prices down, even when it comes to the bundle. Like, bundling everything together is €270, which again is a crazy amount of money. But there's quite a few bits in that. So I respect the fact that they do seem to be trying to cater for people who do genuinely love this. And I have a lot of respect for that. This just isn't for me, and that's okay. But oh my goodness. God damn you, Bella Beaute bar. I'm looking at this and I hate you because I love this. This is the Ocean Jewel palette and it's available now as you're watching. It's $75 but normally there's codes to get money off. It's a 20 pan magnetic palette, which I just think is so great. I love that there are brands doing that. There's 7 multi-chrome shimmers, which includes 1 holochrome, 1 duochrome shimmer, 11 buttery mattes, and 1 sparkle matte. Right, you guys know I love green, so there's like a little pop of green. There isn't as much green as I might like, but I mean, I could literally have an all green palette and I'd be happy. But I love blues and purples. So there's a bit of green and there's blues and purples. So I'm sitting here being like, yeah, this is my jam. And I love that there's some really deep dark colours and then there's some mid-tones. I will say there's a few light colours, not as much as I might like, but the ratio of matte to shimmers here is really, really good. I do appreciate that you have that bit more mattes here than you do have shimmers. And can we just say, the photography around capturing those shimmers, amazing. They've done kind of like what a lot of these indie brands are really good at doing, is sending these palettes to amazing content creators who capture it, and I feel like they've done it so well. Like, these look metallic, foil-esque, like really, really beautiful. I do feel like it's very hard to capture something like a holochrome, and it's one of those ones that is probably going to look a little bit better in reality than it's ever going to be captured on a camera, on a video, etc. I do feel like maybe over on their website they could have, this is just me being very pernickety, put a video of the swatches just to see how they interact with light. It's that dynamic movement, I think, that really lets you know what these might actually look like. The palette in and of itself is stunning, and I feel like $75, maybe I'm losing my mind, but $75 for a 20 pan palette is not the absolute worst that we've seen. Like, realistically, it's not. I've seen much worse. So it's a little less than $4 per pan, and in my mind, that isn't too bad. I do like this. I hate that I like this. I wish that I didn't like this, because it makes my purchasing decisions that bit more difficult. I don't know. And anything I have gotten from Bella Beaute bar, I do genuinely really enjoy. I probably feel though, if I looked, and it's not that I have a huge amount from Bella Beaute bar, but I feel like if I looked at, say, things like the Basic Witch, I could maybe have 1 or 2 shades in there that are similar to that, and then maybe some things from like the Poison Garden, which my gorgeous friend Wilma Fingerdew gave to me, so that is staying in my collection forever. I am intrigued. But I'm not going to personally run off and get this simply because I'm actually curating my collection at the moment. I'm going through stuff and just being like, not brutal, but just like realistic of, you don't need this, you're not going to use it, you're foolish, stop making poor life choices. And it seems counterproductive to be doing that and then kind of going, yes, come into my room, come and buy more things. Like, no, I need to just use what I have and be a little bit less wee with things. And again, it's not me saying I'm on like a no buy or a low buy. There are things that filters through the net, but I just feel like Probably because I love this colour story. I could go through my collection and find stuff that's similar to it. It may not be the same quality, it probably isn't the same formula, but I'm not saying I could dupe it, but I could get a similar effect. But it's beautiful. It's such a well curated colour story, and I feel like they're doing their best to keep the prices down. So kudos to them, Bella Beaute Bar, you crafty, crafty bastards. We then have Nabla Cosmetics, who have done a collaboration with Mr. Daniel. I'm going to say right now, I don't know who Mr. Daniel is. I'm sorry, it's just, there are not enough hours in the day for me to do all the things that I need to do. And even though I am chronically online, I still miss a lot of things. But I think this is really interesting. He's put forward a signature brush set, which has 25 pieces for €160. Or if you want, you can get a brush clutch, which has a 4-piece set for €59. Obviously, the 25 pieces is better value for money, but you know, maybe you don't want that. It's 100% vegan, and it's made with ultra soft synthetic bristles, crafted using a patented technology that mimics the performance of the highest quality natural fibers, and that has me interested. Genuinely, I'm kind of like, very important to point out. I don't need more brushes. I know this. In the depths of my soul, I don't need it, but I'm interested. They then go on to say, they are designed to pick up and release the right amount of product, ensuring a smooth and even application with any texture. And the set of 25 comes with a handy case. Oh, I'm interested, and there's a lot in that 25 piece. We're talking about kabuki powder brushes, diffusing powder brushes, round and flat powder brushes, all the way through to your eye brushes. So things like small flame eye brushes, which I love, precise blending brushes, square and flat lip brushes, and liner brushes. There's a lot in there. Now, I personally feel, and maybe I'm a bit whatever, 25 brushes and a case for €160, that's not bad. Now, Nabla tend to be on the slightly pricier side. Like, even if you're looking at their little 4-pan custom palettes, they are on the pricier side. So I'm intrigued by this. I feel like the price point, even though, again, €160, who has that to spare these days? But I feel like for that amount of brushes, it's not bad. It's a little over €6 per brush. Like, that's Morphe-esque brush sales. You know, like the cheaper Morphe brushes are like €5 something. These are nice. Like, do I need all of them? No, that's absolutely insane. But there's some of these shapes that do somewhat appeal to me. I like that, like, grey uniformity. Like, it's kind of nice. Like, it's pretty. There's definitely some of these, like I said, like the MR17. I'm looking at that. I can't help that. Which one is that? That is the precise blending brush. Of course it is. Of course it is. I'm predictable, if nothing else. I do like the look of these. Again, I don't need it. I know I don't need it. But I suppose if you're looking for a nice gift for somebody, this might be a good one. You know, just saying. We then have the Blend Bunny Jordan Liberty Masterclass whole collection thing. So it's sort of, I think, is it like a sub-brand? I kind of don't 100% understand what's going on, but it's pro-inspired products. And honestly, lads, there is so much to it. And at the time of filming, they haven't released kind of snapshots of everything. They've like swatched, they've shown the products, but not the products in action. There's a lot to it. There's a $72 Pro Cheek palette, a $38 Pro Luster palette. So that's the 4-pan palette of like the toppery shades. There is a $15 lip oil glosses, and they come in, I think it's like 10 shades, something like that. There's the Give Good face brush set for $52, a pocket fan for $12, a light sculpt for $12, a super fan for $14, a domed blush for $12, which I'm, by the way, just reading this from Jordan Liberty's Instagram, so I'm like, do we mean domed blush or do we mean domed brush? I'm not sure. A blush light, so I'm assuming it must be domed blush. I just kind of got a little bit confused there. Camouflage for $10. No idea what that means, so maybe future Teresa knows what's happening. Good luck editing this. If you want the whole collection, it's $320. They did say that discounts do apply on the collection, so if you have, you know, affiliate codes, etc., and you're absolutely chomping at the bit to get this, there you go. Like, you can get that. We'll talk maybe about that Pro Cheek palette first. So it's a magnetic 15 blush palette, which includes 12 mattes 2 blush lights and then 1 luster shade, and that's, like I said, $72. I was kind of surprised to see this because it's not that it's an exact duplicate of their blush palette from about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but it's similar enough that I'm like, that's unusual. But it might be a completely updated formula. It could have a totally different finish. Like, here's the thing, just because something is the same color, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily the same thing. Like, we've all had blushes that were like, this is the perfect color, and then you put it onto your face and it looks terrible, it's catching texture, etc. And then you have another blush which is the same color but it isn't capturing your texture at all, because the formula is a little bit different. It might be down to, you know, the talc, the polymers, whatever it is that they have in there. So I'm assuming that that's what's going on, that they have a slightly different updated formula, in which case, fantastic. The Pro Luster palette, I was kind of struggling. I got like a video of the swatches and they look nice. They're 4 multi-use luster toppers. They're $38. They basically say they're supercharged blush lights, best layered over matte blushes. So I guess, you know, like as those sort of toppery bits. I suppose you could use them on the eyes as well. They're grand. They're very safe shades. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like people, or most people, would get a decent amount of use of them, which isn't bad. I was kind of surprised that there were so many lip oils. Like, there's a lot of lip oils. There's 12. I was wrong earlier. I said there was 10, but there was 12. And there's essentially 4 formula variations. There are duochromatics, micro shimmers, translucent, and regular. I don't have any shots as to what they look like on the face, so I guess your guess is as good as mine. And then in terms of the rest of the items that give good face, the fans, etc., I don't know. That hasn't been released as of filming. Maybe I'll talk about them again next week when I have more information, but like, it kind of be old news. Isn't that terrible? That like less than a week it becomes old news and you're like, what? Why does this all move so fast? Right, let's talk about this collection overall. I like Blend Bunny. I have a lot of stuff from them. I would say check out my collection, but you can't. It's mine. Right, sheer Smaug Gollum energy here. I don't have everything that they've released, but I have quite a few pieces. I'm going to say it right now, I appreciate the fact that we don't have an eyeshadow palette. I know that sounds really weird, but I actually kind of appreciate that. I feel like they've done a lot of eyeshadow palettes recently, so it's good to see something a little bit different. I don't feel like they have as much face products as a lot of us might like. There's a little bit of a dearth there. However, I feel like the tones are very similar to what we've done before. I'm going to leave it to some reviews. I want to see, I'm hoping that some fabulous content creators might maybe do some parallels or talk through maybe the differences in formula between the existing blush palettes that are there and this newer one. I'd love to know the story there. In terms of that topper palette, that's fine. It's not bad. Like, and when you think about topper shades, normal, like, I mean, let's talk about topper shades and the brands that normally sell them, and they'll sell you a single for like $20 something. So we're talking about 4 shades here for $38. So that's like $9.50 per shade. That's not bad. And they are magnetic, like you can remove them if that's like really galling you. I don't hate that. Are they shades that I need? No, that's crazy. Lip oils, they don't have a lot of those in their back catalogue. To be fair, they've had a few, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely something that they haven't explored as much as other brands. Do you know what I mean? So I can see the room for growth there. I'm glad that they're bringing out some brushes. Any of the Blend Bunny brushes that I have, I really, really like. I'd love to see a few more from them. I mean, I'm just saying, that's fantastic. The rest, I mean, I don't know what the story is. So I'm not going to talk on it because that would just be me making stuff up. I kind of feel like none of this is necessary for me, right? But I'm not a pro MUA. I'm just a deluded little Irish woman who sits around swatching her eyeshadows at weird hours of the morning. So it's not for me. I feel like, yeah, okay, the stuff that I have, they're the same colours. They might give me a slightly different finish, but for the purposes that I'm using it for, in the nicest way possible, don't give a shit. So it's not really that important to me. I feel like it's something that I can quite comfortably miss and not have a huge amount of FOMO over. Maybe I will later, but at the moment I'm feeling okay about it. Gloss Gods then have kind of been slowly getting into more skincare things. They've been showing it through things like their advent calendars, etc. So they've now come out with a watermelon dew collection, and I'm like, okay, I see where we're going with this. It's very similar to like the Glow recipe stuff, because let's be real, the Glow recipe stuff was viral. If we can get something similar to it, why not? I'm not saying it's a dupe. Let me be very, very clear on that. But I can see why, from a marketing point of view, they'd want to do that. So they have basically 5 products here, and the pre-order is starting May 29th. So as you're watching, you can get it. As you guys know, I'm a disgusting affiliate with the brand. You can use my code. It's down below. I think it's just my name, Teresa, for some money off if you are interested. But we'll have a little chat about them. 5 products. I will say I love watermelon products. I kind of hate that about myself. I know it's so basic. Where are you off to, Teresa? Don't you? Could you not like something that's a bit more original, like papaya or something? You know, even papaya feels like it's a bit like generic, which is funny because I'm a 90s child and growing up in Ireland, we did not know what papaya was. So far from papaya, I was reared, but there you go. We have the Magic Melt Shake, which is a watermelon milkshake cleanser. I mean, I'm not against that. I do a bit of double cleansing, I have terrible skin at the moment. It is what it is. Those goddamn antibiotics, I probably need stronger ones, but it is what it is. A triple texture cleanser that starts whipped, melts into a silky balm, and rinses off as a milky foam. Effortlessly removes makeup, SPF, and buildup without stripping or stinging the skin. I mean, I'll say it right now, like I am intrigued. I'm quite happy with a lot of my skincare, but I think it makes logical sense for a makeup brand to get into this sort of thing. Then there's the Mirror Mist, the Watermelon Glass Toner. So Mirror Mist is a hydrating toner and setting mist in one. I like this. Right, because it's that combination of skincare and makeup stuff. I traditionally used to use just one setting spray and be like, yeah, that's cool, that's it. And then I met my friend Daniela who was like, no, let us use 4 or 5 setting sprays. This one does this and this one does this. And that's where I am now. I'll use 4 or 5 setting sprays, each doing different things. And I have the intrigue when it comes to this, particularly when they're saying watermelon glass. Like, is this going to give me glass-like skin? What's the story here? That's intriguing. And I have very dry skin, like it's a bit of a whatever. So I'm kind of interested. They say it's designed to give your skin an instant glow with every spritz. Also, I love the word spritz. It's just a fun one. The ultrafine mist delivers a burst of moisture and soothing ingredients like watermelon extract and fermented rice to calm and refresh. Okay, I like the addition of fermented rice because any of the products that I have that has fermented rice, my skin just really meshes well with it. So I like that, I like it. Then there's the Mirror Jelly Watermelon Glass Skin Moisturizer. It's a lightweight gel cream. I like gel creams. Generally my brain and my skin just kind of sucks it up. It delivers instant hydration and long-term glow infused with watermelon extract, ceramides, snow mushroom. I remember when people started to use snow mushroom. I think it was like Origins started it off. So that's quite interesting. There's calming botanicals to support the skin barrier. A go-to for anyone wanting that glazed high shine finish without looking oily. It feels like a lot of these are very, very like hydrating things, which for my skin is sort of like exactly what I'm looking for. Then there's the Fairy Whip Watermelon Ceramide Moisturizer. So it's kind of interesting that there's 2 separate moisturizers. I mean, did we necessarily need to? But there you go. It's a cloud soft whipped cream designed to calm, restore and comfort dry or sensitive skin, packed with watermelon extract, ceramides, shea butter and soothing ingredients to rebuild and protect. Okay, the way that I'm reading that, and I could be completely wrong, so fucking don't listen to me, but that feels more like it's a nighttime, like a heavier moisturizer, and that the other one is more like your daytime moisturizer. Yes, I have day and nighttime moisturizers. Don't you judge me. I can do what I like. So I think that's what's going on there. Then there's the Dreamy Dewdrops, the Watermelon Glow and Grip Serum. Again, that kind of mixture between skincare and makeup I think is quite smart. It's a multitasking serum and sticky primer hybrid that deeply hydrates, evens tone and preps skin with a tacky finish for longer makeup wear. So I'm assuming if they're talking about evening skin tone, there's probably a bit of niacinamide in there. Maybe that's a terrible assumption of me, but there you go. Use it as a serum, as a primer, or both. Powered by watermelon, snow mushrooms, centella asiatica, and niacinamide. Yeah, there we go. I feel a vindication. Also, can I just say, I don't really read these things when I'm putting them together. I know, isn't that terrible? I don't have time. I don't have time. I do this in like a haze of like, I don't know what I am or what is going on. I like these. I like these. Am I going to go off and buy these? I'm going to say something right now. Okay, I love Gloss Gods. It's an unhealthy love, but there you go. And I tend to get their advent calendar. I wouldn't be disappointed if something like this was in the advent calendar. But I'm kind of quite happy with my skincare at the moment, even though my skin is just doing whatever. That's just its own... Look, my skin is revolting against me. It is what it is. But I'm kind of happy with where it is. I might mess with a few little bits, but nothing major. So I feel like for me, I don't personally need this. However, if it was part of a bundle of fucking makeup or something that came in an advent calendar, then I'd be like, yeah, cool, I'll try it. And actually, like, as part of the advent calendar, they did actually put in some things like Skinderella stuff, and I liked those. I did. So that's how you get me. You trick me into these things. So for the moment, I don't think I need it, but it's not a bad one. I can understand, again, that mixture between skincare and makeup, and it logically makes a lot of sense to me. We then have Trixie Cosmetics, who have collaborated with Teletubbies, and Trixie was like, it feels like this has been going on for years, but it actually hasn't, but it's available and it's a whole thing. And I watched Trixie's video on it in double time because, again, busy person. I love watching videos on double time. I don't know if you watch me on double time, in which case, hello, squeaky little chipmunk voice. This is available as you're watching. It's not available as I'm filming, but there's a few things to it. There's not a huge amount, which I do appreciate. There's the Teletubbies 12 pan pigment palette. Now, Trixie said it's a pigment palette because she wanted to make sure that you're not just limited to using it on the eyes, that you can use it on the face, on the body, etc. It's not like an attempt to be like, oh no, don't use it here. By the way, it's vegan, which is a big thing. She even pointed out, like, there's a red shade in there which is named after Poe, obviously, and she's like, yeah, this is vegan and it's still quite pigmented. So that's $32. There's the Teletubbies 4-piece brush set for $26, and down at the very bottom of the brushes they have each of the Teletubbies little antennae, which is kind of cute. There's Tinky Winky's purse blush for $16, which is the exact shade of the weird red bag that Tinky Winky would hang around with. There's the New Lash for $16, so that's the weird vacuum that was in Teletubbies. I'm a little bit too old for Teletubbies, but I remember my younger brother watching it. And then there's the Tubby Custard lip gloss for $16, and that's apparently watermelon scented, and it's just like a pink sort of a colour. So shall we talk about that eyeshadow palette first? There's something about those swatches that makes me think of Sugar Pill, or is it just, am I losing my mind? Also, I haven't heard from Sugar Pill in a while. Should we send out a search party? Is everything okay there? I like this. She's also said, like, it's kind of coinciding with Pride, so the kind of rainbow-esqueness of it makes a lot of sense. I like this. I think it's actually quite cute. It's quite fun. I still feel, and I could be, you know, tell me to F off right now, but I always feel like Trixie needs to have two massive pans on all of her palettes that are just a massive white and a massive black matte. And I don't understand why she doesn't do that, because I mean, that's like the core of her eyeshadow look. And if you had two big pans, like each kind of the size of two general shades, I think that would be smart. And I could kind of see how that would make sense here. But that's just me being very, very pernickety. I feel like the price point isn't bad at all. Like, it's $32 for a 12-pound palette. Again, not that bad when you're thinking about like the fact that this is an IP. The last brand that had Teletubbies as an IP was Glisten Cosmetics, and they didn't do an eyeshadow palette. They actually did a really cute Tubby Custard highlighter, which, by the way, amazing. I really, really liked that. And they did some wet liners. So I feel like this is good. It's not like stepping on anyone's toes. I don't know of anyone who like collects Teletubby things, but it's all kept very affordable, so it's not a bad one. I like it. I do. I think it's not bad, and I can see where she's going off to, saying that like you could use some of those as blushes, like that red shade, the Poe shade, you could use as a blush. But it does make me kind of go, then did you need to do that red blush? You know, like, was there a necessity for that? I'm just saying. The brush set themselves, you can't get any of them singularly. It's only as the set, which kind of makes sense. I mean, why would you separate any of the Teletubbies? And she went through basically saying why they are the way they are, that you have your detail brush that you can use and that she likes to use for like contouring her nose, etc. There's the standard lovely blendy brush, which is the purple one. loved that. And then she was like, okay, so this red one here, which is the Poe brush, is your blush brush. And I like that it's this color because you can never tell how dirty it is. And I was like, oh, wash your brushes, guys. Wash your brushes. They're fine. I think they're pretty safe shapes. Like, you get use out of them. I don't feel like there's many people who would kind of be like, oh no, I don't like those shapes or I'm not going to use them. They're safe. They're fine. Probably if you went through your collection, you'd probably notice that you have maybe duplicates of those sort of shapes, which isn't a bad thing. The blush, this is what I want to talk about. This one is not eye safe. She's basically outlined. This is just for the face, whereas the red in the eyeshadow palette is safe for the eyes. So I'm kind of like, why did you have to do this blush as well? Because it looks like it's pretty similar in terms of the red that is in that palette, which you're also saying can be used as a blush. But she has said she's wanted to have a red blush for ages. So obviously, like, maybe you may not want the eyeshadow palette and you just want a blush, in which case, fair. Like, I get that. I just feel like if you wanted to get the full collection, maybe you don't need the blush. I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do with your life. You're an adult, like, you know, but it just feels a little bit like unnecessary. She was going on about how much she loves red blushes, and I was like, okay, fair. You feel very passionate about this. Then the new lash. You know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I actually quite like that feathery sort of a look. I feel like I could get away with it with my glasses, but there's always like a little bit of like uncertainty there, because I mean, lashes with glasses is a little bit of a nightmare. You want them to be long enough that, you know, they're accentuating your eyes, but like not so long that they're doing that like claw down of your glasses lens, which is just awkward and also makes your eyes really tired. And by your eyes, I mean my eyes. I've tested these enough to know. So when it comes to things like eyelashes, I'm a little bit more tentative. I prefer to actually interact with them myself to see if they look like they're right. I can't gauge it on a website, but that's just me. The lip gloss, I mean, it's grand. It's a bubblegummy sort of a pink. It feels quite safe. It feels quite cute. I get where the shade is coming from. Like, it is literally the shade of that tubby custard thing, which again, I was a little bit too old to watch Teletubbies, but I remember just thinking, like, why is custard pink? Like, there's a lot of like unnecessary food coloring that's going into this. It feels quite strange. In terms of the collection overall, like I said, I don't think it's a bad one. I feel it's also very respectful of previous collabs, so that it's not stepping on toes or replicating things. And I really love that Trixie talked about, you know, the artwork that was on the palette. And it wasn't that they had bought the artwork from Teletubbies. It was actually their own artistic designer who did that, which, by the way, amazing. And that's why when you're looking at it, you can obviously tell it's Teletubbies, but it has that Trixie Cosmetics sort of an edge to it, which is like, yeah, like you'll look at the palette and pretty quickly go, yeah, okay, I see the Trixie connection here as well. And even like the shape of the heart-shaped blushes, that's very, very in line with Trixie stuff to date. I don't have that much from Trixie Cosmetics. Like, I have a couple of like the play paints, etc. that she has, but the palettes to date haven't really interested me. I quite like this palette. I don't need it. Like, I will say, like, the shimmers, etc. don't look like they're anything that's out of this world or that I'd be like, oh my god, I must get this. When I said earlier that it reminded me of Sugar Pill, it definitely does, but like, you know, Sugar Pill back in like 2018, which is a compliment in and of itself because they were a big thing back in the day, but the formula does look a bit antiquated, like it's a bit stuck. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, people want good mattes. Those mattes look pretty good. I just feel like the shimmers are a little bit lacking. That's just me, and feel free to disagree. But I will say that with drag makeup, the emphasis on shimmers is just not really there in the same way that it is for those of us day walkers. So I get that. Like, it makes sense to me. But for me, I'm totally fine. I don't need it. But I think it's pretty cute. We then have Makeup Forever, and this is their HD Skin Blurring and Perfecting Pressed Powder. And they come in 8 different shades. They're available now, and they're $40 each. The coverage is apparently light, and it's vegan, gluten-free, and cruelty-free. They say that this lightweight powder seamlessly blurs pores and smooths fine lines for matte yet hydrated complexion with no caking or creasing. Choose from color correcting and skin tone shades that deliver a unified true to skin effect. The perfect companion to set, diffuse, or touch up on the go. And I appreciate the fact that we are going from very light through to very, very deep. So even though we have 8 shades there, it does feel like it's fairly inclusive. I'm just kind of wondering how much they've thought about undertones, because some of these feel a little bit more olive, which isn't a bad thing. Lord knows people with an olive undertone really get screwed over when it comes to makeup. There's a lot of stuff that just is not built for them. But I'm just kind of like looking at some of those shades and kind of thinking they might be a little bit more olive toned leaning. Do you know what I mean? Not necessarily a bad thing at all. Makeup Forever, I will say, I don't think there's anything that I've tried from them that I've gone, nah, don't like this. This is a meh one for me. I do like their stuff. This isn't necessarily appealing to me right now, but this is one of those ones that maybe in the future, if I'm looking for another pressed powder, because every so often that's what happens, if I hear somebody else even suggest that it might be good, I will run off and be like, oh, okay. Now they have said like, oh, we've done some research on it. It's 104 participants after a week, which is a very short-term study. I'm not going to talk to you about statistics. That's like get really weird about that. But they said 99% agreed the pressed powder refines skin texture. 98% agreed that the pressed powder is very lightweight into the skin, and 97% agreed that the pressed powder is ideal for touch-ups. I will say that the whole thing of like it's ideal for touch-ups, is that not like the minimum? Aren't they like, also why is it 97 and not like 100%? Like who's saying that it isn't ideal for touch-ups? Do you know what I mean? Like, and what is it that it wouldn't be? I'm sorry, I'm really bad, so negative, focusing on the 3%, but like it just seems like it's such a minimum criteria to be kind of fixated on. I like the idea of it refining skin texture. I just want to know, because they haven't given a lot of detail about who those 104 participants are. What's the gender? What's the age? What's the skin texture like? I mean, if we're talking about a bunch of 20-year-olds, I'm sorry, but their skin texture is probably grand. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see a range of people. I want to see people with PCOS. Like, how are they getting on with it? Frankly, if you can give a makeup product that is working for people with PCOS. I say this because I have friends with PCOS. You know that product is kind of going to work pretty well for most people, you know? I wish there was more information on this sort of thing. And maybe it's, again, the scientist in me just kind of going, I want more specifics so I can determine how generalizable these results are. In saying that though, I do like Makeup Forever. I have a lot of faith in them, so I don't dislike this. And this is one of those ones that if they come to like Look Fantastic or Cult Beauty, which they will, and there's like a sale on, it's one of those ones that could end up in a basket. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's terrible. That's so fucking stupid. But like, I never said that I make valid life choices. But there you go. We then have Made by Mitchell, who has released his Soak and Sculpt mini bronze book. And there's 4 different ones. There's light, there's tan, there's medium, and there's deep. And they're available now for £16. They say that they're blendable, buildable, and designed to melt seamlessly into the skin. Each mini bronze book gives you the freedom to mix, layer, and sculpt your perfect bronze moment, whether you're going soft and subtle or full glam. I really appreciate the fact that it's done in different skin tones, that you have your light, your tan, your medium, your deep. And the fact, whatever you may feel about Made by Mitchell, and I don't always love Made by Mitchell and his stuff, I just feel like he cranks out way too much stuff and it's a bit overwhelming. But Made by Mitchell always understands the full depth and breadth of skin tones. The range is always very, very inclusive. So I 100% respect that. I'm like, that is pretty darn cool. And I do feel like a lot of those ones from the deep are actually going to function as bronzers on deeper skin tones. So I'm not against that. I think the light one would work for me, and I am, you know, quite ghostly. I haunt your dreams. You know it, I know it, we all know it. I don't think it's bad. £16 for 4 shades, that's £4 each. That's not bad. Again, in saying that, I went over to their website. I couldn't find any like products of them using it on the face. There weren't any swatches. And with something like bronzers, I would like to see them on the face. I want to see, is it capturing that texture, etc. I'm not a big bronzer. Like, I use bronzer, but I don't get like super excited about it. And any of the bronzers that I have, they've remained in my collection because they're just the right tone, or they work in exactly the way that I want. So I don't really tend to get very excited about these things. The price point is pretty darn good. I just like to see the way that this is performing. Now, I assume it's going to be like sold even more cheaply over on TikTok Shop, because that's how that brand is now kind of marketing itself, which I don't love. I stay away from TikTok Shop. I'm a little bit too susceptible to these sorts of things, and there's a reason why I haven't started in on that, just because I will get totally sucked in. I don't think it's a bad one. I just don't think it's one for me. And I think even when it comes down to a bronze book, I don't need 4 bronzers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need 1 bronzer that's the correct tone for me. Max 2 for if I'm a slightly different shade during summer. Like, I have a tan now. Yes, this is shut up, right? I don't blend into the wall as much as I do during winter, right? This is me with a little bit of colour. I'm not haunting you quite as much as usual. But I feel like 4 isn't necessary. Did we need a book? Could we not have just done a duo? Maybe I'm overthinking this. I'm probably overthinking this. It's grand. It just isn't for me. Not everything can be for me. Move on with your life, you silly goose. SHEGLAM are really coming at us with some fast fashion, fast makeup stuff. Like, they are pretty much every week at this point. These are their Crystal Jelly Glaze Sticks. You're probably saying, Teresa, we've seen these already. Yes, you have. You're absolutely right. These are extensions to their shade ranges. So it's 4 new ones. The new shades are Bronze Dust, Violet Crush, Rockstar, and Champagne Gleam. And this is the price discrepancy always confuses me. Over on SHEGLAM, they're €7 1 cent. Why 1 cent? I don't know. And over on Shein, they're €3.89 each, which is really, really interesting. These sort of formulas have been coming out quite a bit from C Beauty. So you have the likes of Juicy that have them. Dose of Colours did stuff like this not that long ago. This is just a super affordable one. I'd love to know, are these manufactured in the same places as the likes of Juicy and Dose of Colours? Because it just feels really interesting that these all kind of came out at around about the same time. In terms of the new colours, they're fine. They're grand. I think they're quite nice. They've obviously swatched them next to the older colours, and they're kind of just mixed in there. So like I said, the newer shades are Bronze Dust, Violet Crush, Rockstar, and Champagne Gleam. I kind of feel like when you're looking at that, there's not much that's like new. Maybe Champagne Gleam is probably the one that is the most different out of the existing ones. Like, I feel like even Rockstar is quite similar to their Starlit Silver in some ways, which is quite strange. Like, but on the arm it looks pretty similar. They look grand. Can I just talk about the pictures on the eyes? Yeah, I appreciate when they show you pictures of them on the eyes, but some of these pictures look edited to hell. And I get that they're like trying to sell a product, but it drives me nuts, because I'm like, are these actually that shimmery? I feel like they've put on and feel free to just be like, Teresa, you're insane. You've become really paranoid. But it feels like they put on a filter to be like glowy, sparkle, etc. Like, I mean, literally her lips are sparkling. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just feels really strange. And that's just for the Bronze Dust one. If you're looking at Violet Crush, literally there's like little, like when they zoom into the eyes, there's the little stars of the glimmers of light like you see in anime and manga. And I'm like, did you edit that in? Or, because did it really look like that? Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just whatever. Like, if it actually looked like that, fantastic. Like, it is pretty. The worst offender is Rockstar. Like, even look at it on her eye, you see like crisscrosses, to the point that I'm like, did you get like white eyeliner and just do crosses on your eyes? It is really, really strange. Probably the most normal looking one is the Champagne Gleam. I suppose that's because that's the most natural looking one. But even when you zoom in, it does look a little bit like they might have edited it. I don't know if they did. I am not a photo expert. I am talking out of my rather substantial arse. Let's be 100% real. But even for that last model who had Champagne Gleam on, the reflection on the lips is also like, ooh, again, maybe they had a bunch of lights on, but also if you have a bunch of lights on, it tends to like desaturate things. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I get that they're very inexpensive, etc. But there's a lot of stuff around, like, you know, do you necessarily want to purchase from these things, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into the morality of that, right? That's going to be subjective. It's going to depend on people. Personally, I am halting purchasing things from SHEGLAM, etc. I'm just like in a financial space where I can do that, right? I don't have to buy from these brands. I can go for other alternatives, and if you can, fantastic, great. But I'm not going to judge people who do get these, because why? Fucking none of my business. I don't want to be one of those people who's getting up on a high horse and going, oh my god, I'm so much better than you. No. We as a society do not need to be doing that. We do not need to be dividing ourselves over things like that and saying, oh, you know, you're the problem, when actually it's just systemic issues in society rather than necessarily individuals who are contributing a little bit further to assist. Sorry. I go a little bit whatever on these things. But yeah, like, they're fine. I don't need them. I'll be honest, if they came out with shades like this from brands like Juicy, even though they're way more expensive, I probably would consider them. Again, don't need them, but I do like these sort of shimmery sticks. They tend to look really, really nice, and the ones that I have from the likes of Juicy are really nice, so there you go. We then have Caliray, which I don't know if you guys remember, but the original founder of Urban Decay actually came out with this brand, Caliray, and I find it so interesting to actually see this brand now and kind of go, oh my god, you came up with Urban Decay. Do you remember old school Urban Decay? That person came up with old school Urban Decay, and now this is what they're doing. It just feels like so different. I mean, obviously people age and grow and change and whatever, and this is it. I mean, let's be real, this is evidence of it. Anyways, this is their Lipguard SPF 31, which feels so specific. Not 30, 31. It's really odd. I don't know, maybe like the 31 is a symbol for something, like in the same way that like Tower 28, the brand, is down to like this specific tower in California that's like a lifeguard tower. Maybe the 31 is representative of something. I don't know. But they do say it's SPF 31 protection, which again feels like such a strange number. Just say 30. Why 31? It's so weird. So it's a lip balm and it's a treatment, and it's meant to be hydrating. There's sweet almond oil in it, shea butter, and they apparently say that they're gluten-free and cruelty-free. I mean, it's grand. They have non-nano zinc oxide in it, which defends the lips from the sun. It's grand. They're $19 each, which is actually quite affordable for something like that. Like, I don't think it's terrible. There's 5 shades, but I do feel like 2 of those shades are a little bit too similar to each other. So there's Trestles, which is a neutral brown, Big Sur, which is a rosewood mauve, Echo, an orchid pink, Zuma, a soft pink, and San O, a nude pink. And it's those last 2 shades that I think look a little bit too similar. Like, even if you look at them in the tube, you're like, god, you guys look similar. And seeing them on the lip, I don't see that much distinction between them. And they were very smart even when they were showing like the kind of parts or the gloss actually distinct from each other, that they put Zuma at the top and they put San O at the bottom so that you couldn't directly compare them, but then they put them on the lips like right next to each other, and I'm like, I don't think you needed 5. You'd have been fine with 4. Like, it's grand. It's just really interesting to see how people do change. And outside of me knowing that this was the person who came up with Urban Decay, there's absolutely nothing else that would suggest to me that this is the same person, because looking at this, I personally can't see it. SPF of 31, lads. Who'd have thought that? Oh, that one is very important. I don't know. But anyways, it's available now if you care. Personally, I don't. We then have Makeup by Mario, and this is a dewy blush stick. It's actually called their Soft Pop Cream Blush Stick. So there's 9 shades, but 3 of those shades are actually available in minis. The ones that are available in minis are Pale Petal, a soft pink, Dusty Rose, a neutral rosy mauve, and Watermelon, which is a magenta pink. Like, that is a fun colour. They say they're free of parabens, formaldehydes, formaldehyde releasing agents. Good, because you shouldn't have the releasing agents in there either. Release the hounds. Phthalates, retinol palmitate. Jesus Christ, like I'm really testing my reading comprehension here. Oxybenzone, coal tar, hydroquinone, sulfates, SLS and SLES, triclocarbon and triclosan. Do I get a biscuit now for pronouncing all of that? Look, all of that to say it's a dual-ended blush stick with medium buildable coverage for a soft pop of colour and a dewy finish. And it's essentially new packaging and a brush. It's the same iconic formula. So if you're wondering what happened to their previous blush, that it's the same thing. That's all that's happening here. It looks grand. I do like a creamy sort of a blush. Just saying, I do like that. Do I think I need all of those shades? No, that's absolutely bonkers. Like, let's be 100% real. Quite a few of them look similar on. I mean, I'll be showing you all of these very quickly flashed on the models, and they do look beautiful. I love a cream blush myself. I don't know if I would necessarily go off and buy this because they are $34 each. Like, they be expensive. You know what I'm saying? But if you do want them, you can purchase with my disgusting affiliate links down below. I mean, I'm just saying, I have to feed the stray cats somehow. Anyone ever wondered what my affiliate money goes to? It's to cats. It's really sad, but that's what it is. Anyways, yeah, this is grand. I mean, Makeup by Mario is just kind of toddling along. They're doing their own thing. A lot of their collections have been very safe, but in a good way, you know, like sort of like staple stuff. I don't dislike this. That's the thing. I feel like this is one of those ones that if I got my grubby little paws on it and I swatched it and I did like a wear test of it, I probably would quite enjoy it. Like, there's certain shades that are a little bit more kind of like what I'd be interested in than others, like the Dusty Rose. I quite like the look of that, and if I remember correctly, that is one of the ones that you can get in a mini. So I'm like, if I was shopping on Sephora, I'd have a little think about it and be like, well, fuck it, I'll put the mini in just to see what it's like. I don't think it's bad. There's a lot of brushes, or there's a lot of blushes on the market. Do I necessarily need this? No. But I mean, he's building his brand. It makes sense. It's very much in line with his aesthetic. It's not a bad one. We then have Morphe, and they have two separate releases, but I'm going to talk about the bigger palettes first. So there are 4 new 12-pan palettes, and they're available on Ulta Beauty at the moment. They're $21 each. They did some research, including 21 people. I'm not even going to talk about that sample size. The research said that the majority of consumers agreed that the Chroma Plus eyeshadows, because it's a new formula, deliver highly pigmented single swipe color payoff. They're non-patchy, seamless, even application. They're silky smooth, buttery soft texture and effortless application. So it's just perception. I'm not even going to talk to you guys about my feelings on perception. We all remember that time the internet couldn't fucking agree on the colour of a dress. So quite frankly, I don't really trust people's perceptions. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit like, okay, grand. So there's 4 different palettes here. There's the Electric Current, which is kind of purpley tones, Flickering Sands, Moonstone and Rose Frequency. I gotta say, they're not bad. They're quite nice. The thing is, like, Morphe has had like a lot of issues over the last couple of years, and it's really hard to know what the story is. They have been bought out. To the best of my knowledge, the people that bought it out did actually give a fairly decent settlement package to the people who like were screwed over in terms of the stores over in the UK. So it's kind of like, I wonder how much of these are like legacy issues, right? You no more than like, remember Kat Von D, right? And we all found out what she was like, and even though she sold the business, KVD now has nothing to do with her, but they just haven't really bounced back from those initial things. And I'm wondering how much of the current Morphe brand is impacted by the Morphe of the past, which actually doesn't have anything to do with the current Morphe. It's really fucking difficult for us to disentangle all of that. Maybe that's just me. They look grand. Here's the thing, like the actual pictures of each of the palettes, they're fine. I've seen some videos though, and they do look really sparkly and very, very pretty, so I don't dislike them. Like that first palette, the Electric Current, it's very, very doable, very wearable. It does remind me of that like classic Morphe. Do you remember old school Morphe? They were just like, we'll just throw a pink in it and a purple and people will eat it up. And we did, you know? They were very popular for a reason. I will say though, they do seem to have kind of kept with that old school Morphe way of photographing things. This doesn't look very dynamic. They could take some lessons from Bella Beaute Bar, is all I'm saying, right? Take some lessons from Bella Beaute Bar. I was talking about Diva Room Cosmetics last week. They know how to photograph their products. I don't feel like this is photographed very well. Feel free to disagree with me, but there you go. Flickering Sands, I mean, it's very safe. It's summery vibes. It's grand. And $21 for a 12-pan palette, it's not bad. Again, I just think they're going to suffer a lot based on the fact that it is the Morphe brand, you know, even though it's it's so fucking complicated, like, you know. Even I'm sitting here being like, I don't know how I feel about it, and the way they treated, you know, their workers, and it's like, but it's not them who treated the workers, it's a different, I don't even know where to go with the whole, it's very, very confusing. It's grand. I do like the Moonstone palette. I love a cool toned palette. I can't help it. It's just because my palette is naturally cool toned, so cool tones look a little bit better than me. I know my gorgeous friend Sheila has a tendency to be like, I like warm toned palettes. Totally fine. Come through my collection, grab the warm toned palettes. I'll keep the cool toned palettes. It'll be grand. I like that. Do I need it? No. I feel like they've already got a couple of things from like £9 palettes, etc. that they've done in the past that are similar, but obviously they're kind of going, hey, we have a new formula, which I guess is the thing that they're really touting about in that 21 person interview. That's not how you do research, guys. The rose frequency one is quite pretty. Like it's pink toned. I'm just thinking of like using bits of those as like blushers and highlights, etc. Not that I'm going to buy it to do that, but like it's grand. It's fine. I feel like in all, even if they've changed their formulas, etc., and they do look really interesting, honestly, go and have a little look at like some of the videos out there. They do look really interesting, and it feels like even the way that they're trying to remarket themselves is like old school MAC with like, remember the color library book things? That feels like that's what they're doing. But I think they're really on an uphill battle at the moment in terms of their own public perception, which is ironic considering they're talking about perception. But like, it's hard. There's a whole history between a lot of people in the makeup and beauty community and Morphe, for better or for worse. And I think they probably need to do a little bit more on that to kind of get that public buy-in again, just because there's a new company at the helm of it. It's still a name and it's still kind of linked in with all of that. And I think unless they do that, it's just going to have that long-term effect on them. And they even have these really cute little £6 palettes. Again, they're available over on Ulta Beauty at the moment. They're $15 each. Again, they've done the same thing of like, here's our 21 person consumer research thing. I'm not even going to talk about that because frankly, I don't give a shit. These are the Chroma plus £6 eyeshadow palettes. So they come in 6 styles. They're Cyberchrome, Love Bite, Outer Spice, which I love, Python Code, Rich Glitch, and Sky-Fi. I kind of like the names of these. They're kind of cool. I like these £6 palettes that little bit more. I'd say that Sky-Fi is a little bit more my vibe. You know, that pinky purpley one, and also the Python Code. I really like those. I do feel like they're kind of similar to some of the £9 that they came out with about a year ago. So I'm not sure. I'll go through each of those, you know, piece by piece. The one Cyberchrome, that's quite pretty. It's very cool toned. I like that shade Unplugged. That's kind of a sexy looking grey. It's a little bit unusual. I suspect if I kind of swatch these, I'd be able to make more of an informed decision, but based upon these swatches, it's really, really hard to tell. The palette Love Bite, again, very kind of classic Morphe, that kind of really fuchsia pink is just shoved in there. It's grand. It's fine. Again, I think they're just not showing off their products in the best way. Like the market is saturated, right? Let's be 100% real. I know this from doing releases and rants. I'm only talking about like a handful of releases that come out in a week. If you go over to Makeup on Your Radar and look at the amount of stuff that they are publishing every single day, you know, and they don't have the name recognition that they once had. So it's, like I said, a little bit of an uphill battle for them. Outer Spice, which I just love as a name. I kind of like that. It's not a bad one. The shades, again, I'm always going to quote my gorgeous gal, Wilma Fingertooth, very day walker. Nothing wrong with a bit of day walker, but it is very day walker, you know? Like, I could see most people kind of turning to that and being like, yeah, okay, I can use that. No major issue there. Python Code. That's quite interesting, and it's the marble shade that you see there, but not in other palettes, that I'm like, huh, that's interesting, but it's obviously like leaning an orange based upon the swatches, I assume. So that blue, is that just there for what, for dramatic effect? I don't know, because like orange and blue are like different parts of the, like, what's going on there? Anyways, it's grand. I don't hate it. I personally wouldn't get it. I think it's more like I'm looking at the outside of the palette. It's not really stupid, and I'm like, yeah. I think it's because it reminds me of Clarity Cosmetics, like Python and Cobra palettes, which were really, really cool and really, really interesting to me at the time. Then there's Rich Glitch, which again, I quite like that. It's quite cool toned, very pretty. There's some of those that I'd kind of think about as like highlighters. By some of those, I mean the shade Champagne Splash, but other than that, I don't know. What I will say is Sky-Fi. Do you see what I mean? Like, I like that one. I'm looking at that that kind of going, yeah. Because I was going through my palettes and I've been getting rid of a lot of stuff. I'm getting rid of a couple of Morphe palettes. And I was going through things like the Aura Escapes. And I think that's what they were shooting for with that one, but didn't quite make it. It's pretty. I like that. All in all, even with those £6 palettes, I think there's a lot of potential there. They're just not really reaching into it in the way that would be very useful for the brand. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how I feel about it. Like, even just on an intellectual level, I don't know. There's just that weird history with Morphe and all the stuff around that just never really got resolved. But I mean, it's not really down to the new company to resolve it either. I don't know if they need to do like KVD and like just do a full name change, but even KVD doing that name change didn't really sort anything for them either. So I'm honestly, I don't know where they're going to go as a brand or how they're going to do. But I will say, like in the last year or so, they have, it seems, been working on their formula and it looks a lot better than it did in the past. So like kudos to them for that. But I'm wondering if they need to like do some sort of like a public statement to be like, this is how we're different. This is where we're moving on from. These are our ethos. This is what's happening. I think if there was something like that, we might be better able to kind of discern. I say I'd be better able to discern what my feelings are on these things, because honestly I'm just kind of like very jumbled at the moment and I don't know what to think about it. And anything where I'm left with like a feeling of like disclarity, I just kind of go, fuck it, I'm not engaging with this. There's other brands that I can engage in or engage with that don't have that same sort of thing. I don't want life to be complicated, and makeup doesn't need to be complicated, is all I'm saying. It seems as though e.l.f. are actually adding to their Halo Glow family. This was leaked over on Trend Mood. We don't have an exact date as to when this is happening. Neither do I have a price, so I'm a bit useless. Isn't it nice that I'm consistent? This is the Halo Glow Skin Tint, and it's also a mineral SPF 50 sunscreen, and it's water resistant. Do you hear that, Caliray? SPF of 50, not 51. Let's be real on this. It's a serum-like skin tint which provides lightweight, buildable coverage with SPF 50 without leaving a white cast, at least according to Trend Mood's information. The hydrating formula melts into your skin for a natural glowing look. It contains niacinamide, which is apparently in everything these days, bisabolol, I mean, I hope I got a medal for saying that, and allantoin, and is water resistant. There's 18 shades. I will say, based upon the pictures, it doesn't really look like the deepest shade is deep enough. Like they say rich neutral and I'm like, I think you could go a little bit deeper. I know it's a skin tint, so it's not going to give you like a huge amount of coverage, like, but at the same time, I think you would need something a little bit deeper than that. Like even the very fair ones, I think probably Fair Cool might be a little bit dark on me. I don't know. It might be just about the right shade for me right now. But as I am year round, I don't know. Their general shade range here seems quite off, which I'm quite surprised by because normally they're not bad on that. It just seems a little bit off to me, but I don't know. It'll be affordable, we know that much at least. Then we have Beauty Bay, and I have to say a massive thank you to Buttons who sent this information on to me because it completely slipped under my radar. I don't have any information on how much it will be, but I have some information in terms of the content. So this is sort of a sneak peek, but as you're watching it, it will be available, so there you go. Basically, they're doing a fragrance spritz that's called Golden Haze. There's lemon, fig, jasmine, and amber notes. So it's releasing on Friday, so as you're watching, it's already available, but it sounds like there's essentially a live on TikTok. That's what's going on there, and it's part of a set, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be by itself. In terms of the set, kind of stuff that we've seen before: a mascara, the bronzing drops, an SPF of 50, and it looks like there's a lip balm with presumably vanilla in it because they have vanilla pods. I'm pretty certain that we've seen that already. I don't think that the body spray is necessarily a bad idea, like that's quite different for Beauty Bay, but I think the collection in and of itself is just a little bit like, like, did we need that? Like, it feels like a totally unnecessary addition, or maybe it's just me. I feel like Beauty Bay in general just doesn't have the same pull that it once did. And this just, it's grand. Like, in the nicest way possible. I don't care, and I feel like a lot of you guys will probably be like, I'd like to know, like, is it gonna be like a body mist that lasts for the day, or am I gonna be constantly spraying it? Because the bottle looks like it's pretty small, but I'm not gonna get it. I'm all right. We then have Kryptein Cosmetics. This is the Sunset Symphony palette. It's coming out on June 7th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's $61 and it has 6 mattes and 6 multi-chromes. And when I'm looking at this, I do think of summer. I really, really like the look of this. I think my major issue with this is that the mattes, you're kind of very much stuck with a lot of midtones, you know, but I mean, what are you going to expect with 6 mattes? Like, there's only going to be so far that you can go with that. And you do have like a blending out shade for that blue. The yellows and oranges, I guess they could kind of mesh together. You are going to be very limited with what you can do, but those shimmery shades, oh my goodness. Maybe that's what's getting me. Maybe if I look at it in terms of the mattes, I'm not as interested, but then I look at the shimmers and the magpie in me rises to the surface and just goes squawk, squawk. I know that's not the sound of a magpie, but I can't really make a magpie sound. I like this. I don't know if I like it enough to spend $61 on. I do know that they sell Kryptein over on C Beauty Mall, which I do have an affiliate code with, so if you're interested, you could try it there. I don't hate this. There's been a few palettes that I've seen by Kryptein that I'm like, ooh, possibly, but they've never been 100%, and they're a little bit more expensive, so I haven't been able to justify it thus far. But this is looking nice. Like, even the outside cover is very like Adept Cosmetics, you know, they have that really nice look sort of a cover. I don't dislike this. I think it's quite interesting. I have to talk about Glisten Cosmetics, right? A whole thing happened this week. So this is partly news, but also partly a new release. So a couple of days ago, they said, hey, this is Glisten Cosmetics, who are collaborating with Stonewall UK, and this is coming soon. They said, we are so excited to announce our partnership with Stonewall, an incredible charity to support the LGBTQIA+ community. We will be releasing 12 brand new Pride flag liners. They've been doing this for years. Like, I have their original Pride one, with 50% of the profit from every single one going directly to Stonewall and the work that they do. And they said the response so far to this collection has been amazing. We are so grateful. The full collection comprises of the following flags: pansexual, gender fluid, aromantic, genderqueer, bigender, agender, non-binary, trans, lesbian, bisexual, gay male, and asexual. I thought that was amazing, and I was like, yeah, cool, so excited. But stuff transpired in the interim. Like, Glisten put this up, and I'm going to show it to you guys. They said, please read, you may have noticed our initial post announcing this launch has now been removed. I've had to make a pretty big pivot and remove our links to the charity originally announced. I didn't take this decision lightly. I am yet to 100% confirm our new charity for this collaboration, but just know it will be one that stands for everyone. The profits will be shared with another charity, just as I had originally planned. I'm just ironing out some bits before I confirm who that is. If you engaged and shared our original post, please do so again. I feel so disheartened that I've had to make such a big change so close to launch. I may even have to move the launch back slightly, but I'll keep you all in the loop with what happens as soon as I can. I know when I can explain fully, you will all understand and be in full support. I'm just having to tread very carefully. Which, can we just say, amazing that they're keeping their consumers aware. Obviously, I'm an affiliate with Glisten Cosmetics, so I have a little bit of a horse in that race, but I was super impressed. They also said, special thank you to Danielle Painting for removing all signs of the previous collab from these photos. You really are the best. So I love that they're even like expressing their gratitude in this. They then had a post saying why we're changing our Pride partner, because there was a lot of speculation. So they put these up and they said, we've always approached Pride as a time to uplift and give back to the LGBTQIA+ community through meaningful action. It's true, they've been doing it for years, at least as far back as 2019, at least. As part of this, we had planned to partner with Stonewall for our upcoming Pride launch. However, over the weekend, we became aware of Stonewall's Diversity Champion Scheme, a workplace inclusion program that includes over 600 global organizations as members, including BAE Systems. And here's the thing, the reason why they had an issue around the BAE Systems is that they are involved in weapons weapons manufacturing. So that seemed to be like the red flag for them. After listening to concerns from some of our community and reflecting deeply on our own values, we've made the decision not to move forward with this partnership. Let's be real, with all of the conflict that's happening pretty much in every corner of the globe, I think taking money out of the pockets of weapons manufacturers is helpful. Like, if you can do that at all, that's pretty cool. So they said, while we understand how essential workplace inclusion is, we do not believe inclusivity service should be provided to organizations like BA. So the issue was not with the inclusion schemes, it was with who they were doing the inclusion schemes with, which is totally fair. They also said, we acknowledge wider discussions around Stonewall's approach to trans rights, which, if anyone has been paying attention, they kind of did a little bit of lip service and were like, yeah, we're cool with trans people, and then just didn't really do anything past that. They said, while they have historically advocated for the LGBTQIA+ community, these conversations highlight the ongoing need for transparency and accountability within any organisation claiming to represent us all. As a brand that has long stood in solidarity with marginalised people, including the Palestinian and LGBTQIA+ communities, this partnership no longer felt aligned with who we are. And you gotta respect the fact that this is a brand, it's literally putting them out. This is impacting them and they're making a decision based upon their own ethics, their own ethos. You gotta respect it. Or at least I'm not telling you how to feel, but I personally respect it quite a bit. They said, our new Pride product range will still be launching, date TBC, and we're currently in the process of choosing a new charity partner. We're committed to making sure our Pride collaborations truly reflect the values of the Glisten community. If there are any organisations you'd love us to support, we'd really love to hear from you. I mean, I was excited about the liners anyway, not necessarily that I need any. Like I said, I have the old Pride flag from them from like years and years ago, but I love Glisten. They've always stood for that inclusion, etc. And one of the major things I've noticed in the past couple of years is people say they're allies and they're inclusive and blah blah blah. But that's the thing, they say it. They don't necessarily mean it. The actions don't align. But what I'm loving here is that the actions do align. They have actually put themselves in a very uncomfortable position where it does financially impact them to hold back on this. And I have to say, like, kudos. Kudos for knowing what your morals are, being able to pick up on them, and then ensuring that you're choosing decisions and engaging in behaviours that align with that. That's much harder to do than I think people recognise. And I'm just sitting here being like, I am so glad that I am an affiliate with this brand. Like, I've loved their products for ages, but this just like seals the deal essentially. We have another sneak peek, and this time it's from Sugarock, which is a sea beauty brand. This is their 2025 summer collection and it's going to be released at the end of June. Look Healthy Store basically gave us some slight information here, and can I just say, shut up. Sugarock are expensive. That's what's put me off so far. But these colour stories, based upon what I'm eyeballing, I am livid with them. Livid! I want these. I don't need them, but I want them. Yeah, and I've heard really good things about them, so F them. And also, can we talk about the actual like case of the palette? Like, they look amazing. So cool. Yeah, I'm livid. That's something to look out for, and I'm very angry about it. Oh my god. Right, okay, so this is Glaminatrix. This is a very long episode. I'm very sorry about this, but you might remember back for April Fools, they were like, hey, we have our Tones of Turd palette. Oh, and then everyone was like, but I like that. And they've actually decided, okay, fuck it, we're gonna actually do this palette. So the owner of Glaminatrix did a video, they talked it through, and they basically said, yeah, okay, we're doing this. It'll probably be a pre-order. They said that they will have another palette with the same colour story that isn't called Tones of Turd, if you're offended by that, and it's called Grounded. So if you don't enjoy the potty humour, there you go. I effing love that. I do. I love it. I don't care if it's called Tones of Turd or Grounded. I'll have it. I'll take it. Yes, sign me up. I'll have one, please. Thank you very much. Livid. It's all the stuff that's coming later that I'm just like, yes, okay, fucking take my money, you bastards. And I'm livid about it, but it is what it is. Then this is sort of a re-release, reimagining, etc. This is Adept Cosmetics, and you might remember the Seahorse palette that they did a while ago, but it seems that they're basically reformulating this, etc. So they changed some things based off of feedback from customers and influencers. So for example, the formula in some shades, but in general, they said that they think that this palette is just as stunning as the original. It is gorgeous. I have the Seahorse palette, and this, I'm like, oh my god, the Seahorse was really expensive at the time, and Adept is normally quite expensive, but there are a few places that you can get it in Europe. I don't need this. but I know I'll end up seeing goddamn videos of it and just being like, nah. They are dangerous. Don't fall down that slippery slope. And the very last thing that I'm talking about is cosmic brushes. They basically showed some lip liner swatches over on Instagram, and they've given some sneak peeks of some new liners. I'm excited. Some of these are looking really cool toned, and I'm very excited. They've also released some new makeup bags in case anybody's interested. I'm not going to show them here now because frankly, this episode is too long and I'm freaking out because it's going to take me a million years to edit this, and I don't make enough of these videos to make this financially viable. I make very poor life choices. I'm very excited about these lip liners. Cosmic Beauty essentially always have fantastic quality, great formulas, and at a great price. So, god damn them. Do you see what I mean? It's all the later stuff, like all the stuff that is coming in the future. At least I can kind of plan for it. It looks like I'm gonna have to really budget stuff over the next while. But my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I do have my favourite comment, and it had to be from Wilma. I mean, there were a few comments that I absolutely loved, but this, I think you'll all agree. You will. She said, it's because I'm Canadian, but every time you say, here's my thing, I brace myself because I think you're about to whip it out. I don't know what it is in this context, but there you go. Or maybe it's because you're Irish. Who can say? Lol. I'm like, what is the it? Because the it is in my bedside locker. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to whip it out. Like, I'll have to run upstairs and then go down. I'm too lazy for that. You know, I don't do cardio, and it's too much effort for me to like pull down my hoodie and like, and also my boobs are like sag and they're like not defying gravity. They are doing the opposite. Like they're Snoopy. Like they're just like blur. So I'd have to like haul it like a dead fish onto the onto the harbour. It's an image, if nothing else. So yeah, I won't be whipping anything out. I don't even have enough hair to whip back and forth a la Willow Smith, but it is what it is. Anyways, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I know it was a much longer episode than normal. You might have heard a thunk. That was Darcy. Yes, that's my cat. And that was him upstairs. He's so loud. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I know it was a longer episode than normal, but it just seems that we had a lot to talk about this week. Who would have thought it? Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. I mean, honestly, it's just polite. It's rude not to. If you haven't done that, shame on you. And do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case, just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.